one thing that Virginia did forget that was on my email is, and I've had this for quite a few years now, is if not us, if not now, then who and when? Okay, and it's up to us, whether it's the fair tax, whether it's whatever, it's up to us to make things happen. And wasn't only you all on the home front that us fell asleep. It was a lot of us fell asleep. I know I did for quite a few years. I fell asleep. I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on in the country. Dave, you're going to Vietnam, okay? Packed my bag, I went. Dave, you're going to Germany. Packed my bag, I went. Dave, you're going to wherever. I packed my bag, I went. Most of the place I dragged my wife and kids with me, okay? And when I say drag, I mean dragged, okay? And so that was the only thing I was really focused on. You know, Sergeant Speckhardt, you going here, Sergeant Speckhardt, you going there, and that's where I stayed until I got out of the Army. And then, well, I kind of woke up. For a little while, then went back to sleep, then woke up again. I think we all do that, okay?
It's called the Rip Van Winkle effect.
Nah, it's called that. Well, somebody else is going to do it. I don't have to worry about it. I think that's what it is. Okay, you know, somebody else always handled it. Somebody else is going to take care of it. Sometimes, what happens is somebody else is saying the same thing we're saying, and nothing happens, and things get worse. Then all of a sudden we wake up one morning and go, "Oh my God, what did I do?" Okay, but let's get to the fair tax, okay? I got involved with fair tax about 2004 when I first started listening to Neil Bortz on the radio. First time I heard about it, I said, I don't know if that would work. The more I listened to it, and I got his books, read his books, and I said, you know, this actually would work, okay? And I think, regardless of what type of tax reform you might be looking at, I think we all can agree we need tax reform. The way our tax structure is right now, it's killing our economy. It's killing the small business person, especially. The guys that have the big dollars, they can hire lawyers to get special consideration and lobbyists to help them get tax breaks, and we, down at the lower end, we get stuck. Recently, they had a meeting in the House Ways and Means Subcommittee. Anita Easton from the Tax Advocate people spoke. Now, the Tax Advocate, they're appointed by the Secretary of Treasury, so they actually work for the government. And a couple of things she said was, since the tax code, well, it's past 10 years, there's been 4,428 changes to our tax code. Okay? Unfortunately, 579 of them were in 2010 alone. Okay? The IRS, when you call them up and you ask for information, is this a deduction or can I use this? She pointed out 42% of the time they get it wrong. And what happens if you get the wrong answer from the IRS and then you get audited? Why talk to so-and-so? We don't care who you talk to. They were wrong. This is right. Now pay. And if you've ever been audited by the IRS, you know that there's really not too much discussion with them. It's either pay them or they're going to take everything you have. Okay? The other thing is, under our current system, it's designed for breaks for special interest groups. Okay? So if you know somebody, you got enough money, you get a special tax break. If you don't know anybody and you're just a normal person, you don't get a special tax break, which is not fair. The other thing she pointed out was 48% of taxpayers pay no tax at all. None. Excuse me, no income tax at all. Let me rephrase that. No income tax at all. Okay, they don't pay any. 52% pay. Now, let me pull out. It's a little bit smaller than I thought, and so give me a few minutes. Here it is. And as you see, I'm well organized. Okay? The top 1%, now this was 2005 numbers, okay? The top 1% per household paid 39.38% of all taxes. Does something sound right with that figure or sound wrong with that figure?
Wrong.
Okay, top one. Who are the top 1%? Now let's just go back. The top 10% paid 70.3% of all taxes. Who are the top 10%? They're the people that create jobs. Okay, the small business. They're the ones that create jobs. They're the ones that, if they've got the money, they hire people. If they don't have the money, they don't hire people. Okay? So what happens when you start taxing the people who are the producers, the people who have the companies, the people who are doing the hiring? What happens when you raise their taxes?
They stop hiring.
They stop hiring and
Start laying off.
And that's the next thing. The company I worked for had 4 stores in North Carolina. We're going down to 1. They're closing the second store now. We're going down to 1 store. Okay? Taxes, uncertainty in what's going to happen in the next couple of years. And I think the uncertainty is more worrisome than anything else because we don't know what's going to happen. Okay? Somebody talked about, you mentioned Obamacare. The guy was going to talk about Obamacare next week. We're still finding out new taxes that are coming down with that we didn't know about. Even the guys that studied it are starting to find out there are new taxes coming out that we did not know about. There are small business guys, what are they going to do? Okay? They're, I hate to use the word, screwed. Okay? And what happens when they get the shaft?
It
Again,
rolls downhill.
we get the shaft. Okay? Now, with the fair tax, what we're saying is we get rid of the IRS, the income tax totally. Scrap the whole system. Okay? Just scrap it. And go with a national sales tax. Basically, that's what it is, a national sales tax. Okay? When I say national sales tax, right away, a lot of people go, it's going to cost me more. You're going to charge? No, it's not. Okay? Harvard University, Beacon University out of Boston, both did studies on the fair tax. Both of them come to the conclusion it's about a 23% embedded tax in everything we buy. For example, if this jar of ketchup cost $100, okay, we went to the store, we paid $100 for it. Under the fair tax, we're saying it's going to still cost $100. The only thing they're going to say is we're going to back out the 23% that's already embedded in that and use that to fund the government. Okay, that's what we're going to use to fund the government. So when you get your receipt from your grocer or whatever, you're going to get a receipt that says $100, but then it's going to break it down. $77 is actually what it costs for your product. $23 went to the government. Now, what do you think is going to happen when people start realizing how much money they're giving to the government? Because most people don't have a clue.
Start demanding.
They're going to say, "Whoa, that's too. We're giving the government too much money." These people on Occupy Wall Street, what do you think they're going to do? They have no idea how much they would. Well, they don't have a job, so it doesn't matter.
No idea.
Yeah, they don't have a job anyway, so it doesn't matter. But for the ones that actually do have a job and get a paycheck, okay, and actually go and buying stuff for themselves, they'll be looking at it and go, "I'm giving the government how much money?" You're going to see people saying, "Hey, we need to lower it." And unfortunately, our congressmen and our senators don't react unless enough people let them know that we're upset. Okay. The other thing is, what would you rather have in your paycheck? There we go. What would you rather have? What paycheck as a worker would you rather have? Would you rather have that to take home or that to take home?
can't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, that's nice.
But it's a
Okay.
no-brainer.
Yeah, well, you know, I think I'm a window sometimes. Okay, would you rather take home that or that? I would rather take home that. Okay.
I want it down.
Hey, well, you know, that's good advertisement. Now, oops. Now on that note, they also think are called a prebate. All right, because we know that when you go up to Congress and you say we're going to take away the income tax, the first thing they're going to say, what about the poor people? Okay, well, I happen to be one of them, but
Amen, bro.
well, you know, my salary used to be a lot more until the economy took a dive. When you work on commission, you know. But anyway, what about the poor? So they come out with every month, the company's going to send you a check. You have to be a legal citizen of X amount of dollars, what they feel you paid in necessities, and they go up to the poverty level. For example, a single person like me, okay, I'm going to get about $200 a month from the government to pay for the taxes on my necessities. Okay, I think the government's going to be paying me too much because I don't use that much. Okay, ramen noodles, it works. Okay, but I'm going to get about $200 a month. Now, the other thing is, when I get my paycheck, as long as they keep the other store open, okay, I get about $200 every pay period taken out of my paycheck goes to taxes. Okay, 2 pay periods a month, that's $400 that the government gets every month from me. I'm going to get to keep that. Okay, plus the $200 they're going to send me, that's $600 approximately. I'm rounding things off. It's not like it's like $198 I actually get, but I'm rounding off to make it simple. Okay, that's an extra $600 a month I'll have in my pocket approximately. I don't know about y'all, but I could use an extra $600 a month. Okay, heck, I might be able to pay off one of my credit cards. So I get that every month now. What happens also with the fair tax? These people that don't pay taxes, that 48%, they're actually going to start contributing to the system. Okay, they're actually going to start contributing. Okay, you got your ladies of the night, your drug runners, your gun runners, the people that work strictly cash because they don't want to pay taxes. Every time they go buy something, they're paying now into the system. People come from other countries to visit us, okay, for vacations.
Illegals, by the way. Illegals are going to have to pay.
Well,
I just wanted to add that.
Cash.
Yeah.
Okay, cash. And then the tourists are coming over here, okay? Every time they buy a product, it goes in to our system, okay? They're paying for us. Everybody pays. Nobody gets out of it. There's no exceptions for anybody. Makes no difference whether you're Warren Buffett, okay, or me. Every time you buy something, you're going to pay for it. Now, the one thing I like about it, one of the things I like about it is who spends the most money?
Rich.
The people who make the most money. So who's going to be paying the most taxes? The people who make the most money because they buy the most things. Okay, they buy all those big yachts. They buy all those airplanes. They buy all those nice fancy cars. Okay, I might be able to buy a new car because I drive a 98 Kia. Okay, but you know, they have the big luxurious parties. Okay, they'll be paying most of the taxes because they spend the most. So if you really want to tax the rich, that's the way to go. Okay, now who would be against us here? Really, it's a simple program. It's the most studied tax law or most studied piece of legislation ever developed. They've been studying this since like 1998 when a group of Texans got together trying to figure out what to do to fix the tax code. Okay, they spent millions of dollars of their own money coming up with this here. But who would be against it? Well, politicians for one.
The neighborhood baby mama that draws a check or just afraid it's gonna cut into it.
Well, I ain't worried about her. But really, the politicians, because that's a lot of power they have to give up. Taxes is a lot of power. You know, hey, Johnny, you know, if you get me enough votes, I'll put a bill through, ease you on your taxes. Okay? Politicians. Lobbyists, oh my goodness gracious. You know, they're already screaming, throwing out lies and misinformation about the fair tax because they know they're going to lose a job. Okay? They're against it. But there's one other thing about the fair tax that I like. Okay? I was told you have a small business?
Your wife does.
Oh, your wife does, okay. What happens when the small business person dies?
Death tax.
You got the death tax. Okay? When a small business person dies, the government comes and says, for the right to die, you have to give us, I think it's like 35% of the value of your business.
If you don't, we're gonna dig you up.
Right. And we're out here in farm country, so just imagine these farmers. You know, they have hundreds of acres of land that's worth a lot of money, but they don't keep that much cash. Most of them don't keep that much cash. They die, what happens? That's how come you get these big combine farms, because the small farmer dies, he can't pay his taxes, these big combines come in and buy him out. Okay? So it eliminates that also. So you don't have to worry about, well, man, if I die, what's going to happen? Will my family get to keep the business? Will they be able to do, continue working? What's going to happen? And unless you plan ahead and you say, well, my business is worth $250,000, the government's going to take 35% of it. Let me take a life insurance policy out to pay that off in case I die. But the trouble is, most small business people, they don't make that kind of money. Okay, they scrimp penny for penny, dime for dime. I used to own a small business. I know. I closed it up because it was just too much. But that's what happens. Now, one thing I do want to ask you is, where do you think we got this progressive income tax from? The idea of a progressive income tax. Where did we get it from?
Communist Manifesto.
Number 2 on the Communist Manifesto. Karl Marx said, for a perfect society, we must have a progressive income tax, take from the most wealthy, give it to the others. Of course, giving it to the others, he meant him and his cronies. Okay, it never went down. It meant him and his cronies. Okay, the death tax, where did that come from? Same place.
Really?
Communist Manifesto. Things like number 8 or something like that on the Communist Manifesto for the death tax. That individuals should not be allowed to own property. It belongs to the government. The government just lends it to you for a short time. Okay?
Real estate.
Sir?
That's what I call real estate.
Right. The government just lends it to you for a short time. You should not be able to inherit property. It should be turned over back to the government, then the government decides who's going to take it over next. Okay? When I read that, I went, hold it. What kind of system do we have here? Okay, what kind of system we have where they're taking stuff from the Communist Manifesto and implementing it? Okay, public education comes out of that also. What about emergency education? That comes out of that also. That's another story. Okay, but that's really the down and dirty of it, of the fair tax. That's basically the down and dirty of it. Okay. If you have any questions?
I have a question,
Yes, sir.
and it may be that I'm confused.
I'm confused all the time. Go ahead.
Well, I stay that way. You're talking about the embedded tax.
Yes.
23%.
About 23%.
So you're saying the product's not gonna go up.
No.
How does that work for the person, the company that produces the product?
Okay. You take the guy that grew the tomato to make this ketchup, okay? When the farmer goes grow tomato, he knows that he has to sell that tomato for a certain price, okay? Some of the things he includes in coming up with that price is, well, I have to pay an income tax on me, okay? I have to pay an income tax and a payroll, well, I have to also pay a payroll tax on me. I get double hit, because
Yeah.
being a small business, I get to pay both on me. I got to pay payroll taxes on my employees, okay? So when I sell that, I have to get that out of it.
So what you're saying is the manufacturing process is gonna save all the way through
Right,
because of the fair tax.
Right.
Which means it's actually cheaper, so they can sell it with embedded tax and everybody's still making the same money.
right. Basically, yes. And what's some economists have said that once the fair tax is initiated, you're going to see costs actually go down.
Right.
Okay. Some disagree with that, but some of the economists say the cost will actually drop because of the fair tax, because you're taking all that. Just not only you're taking the embedded tax out there.
It might could drop, but it's supposed to drop when all the companies move to Mexico too.
Well, yeah. But not only you take the embedded tax on it, you take a small business person who has to comply with the tax laws. Okay? All that money he's paying his CPA to keep him from going to jail and the IRS ordered him, he don't have to pay anymore. Okay? That's extra money in his pocket. That's not included in the embedded tax. Okay? That's extra money in his pocket or her pocket. Okay, don't want to offend any of the ladies, I'm sorry. Because we know you could really
But that's
control all
almost
the money.
ignorant, it's almost
Okay.
ignorant not to do it.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What is there a difference between what people call the flat tax and the fair tax? What
Yes.
is the one, there is a tax, and I thought it was the fair tax, where you only pay taxes on new items.
That's the fair tax.
Because like if I go out and buy a used car.
No tax.
No taxes.
No tax.
If I go out and buy a
A
used
used house,
washer.
no tax.
No taxes, okay.
Only on
Be sure.
new items.
Okay.
Okay?
But when they talk about the flat tax, that's actually increasing the price of any product.
Yeah,
you buy.
basically the flat tax is what they want to
It's a
do.
sales tax.
No, it's a flat income tax.
Okay.
It's a flat income tax, and basically that's how our tax system started off, was a 3-tier flat tax. Okay? And
Right.
yeah, it did, because again, Joe the minor, pays his congressman a lot of, gets them a lot of money to get him reelected. So the congressman wants to help Joe the minor, so he gives him a tax break. Okay, George, whatever, the airline company. Okay, they give him or the oil company, they give him a tax break because they're funding the coffers of these politicians. Okay, that's what messed up our whole tax system. They started adding, exemptions for this and exemptions for that. And if you give to this, you don't have to pay. If you do this, you don't have to pay. It's just gotten so complicated, and that's what's going to happen with the flat tax. If the flat tax goes through, it'll be good for 1 or 2 years,
Oh, yeah.
and then everybody's be getting their hands in there, and it's going to be a total disaster again.
That's because you're a lifelong politician.
Well, that's another story.